This is Of Malice and Mirth.
Hello, hello.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Welcome to Of Malice and Mirth.
And we have visual.
We do. No, not actually. No. So we do have it we're going to have it for clips and stuff, but probably not the whole episode.
Yeah.
I don't know, because that'll just be a lot of editing. And I just don't know that I can do that at this point in my life.
We're taking baby steps.
Yes, but we got new mics, so you could probably hear us better. What? And I'm sorry if we're a little loopy. It took us a long time to get this set up, so we're kind of out of it now, but we're still going to record because we still got it.
Because
in
this
us.
is week...
Oh, shit. 6. Week 6. Yeah.
We're so in sync on that one.
I know. Look at us go. All right. Well, this week, first we should probably say thank you because we have officially hit 50 downloads or streams or whatever. But 50 of you fuckers are listening to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the love. And if you have any stories, I know that you've heard this before, but if you have any stories to send to us, like creepy pastas, something that you've written yourself, something that happened to you, whether it was it can be funny shit too. We need palate cleansers.
Right.
So if you have like something super embarrassing happen to you and you just got to get it off your chest, but you want to remain anonymous, send it to us.
This is the place to do it because although this is a no judgment zone, we will definitely help you laugh along with whatever happened. Because I laugh at myself all the time.
And I will laugh at you gladly. But yeah, so send it to us of maliceandmirth@gmail.com.
I'm so proud of you right now.
I know. I said it all in one shot. I don't know why that's so fucking hard for me. I can say the name of our podcast. I don't know why when it goes to email, I all of a sudden can't compute. Like,
it's okay.
I don't know, man.
I got you, girl.
What is in your hand?
My headphones.
Why?
Because I cannot deal with the reverb.
Oh, okay.
I cannot.
That makes sense. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, today we have stories about MK Ultra.
What? Spooky.
Yes, I will be telling you about MK Ultra because this is not a true crime podcast, but it still is a spooky kind of creepy story, and it's like real life. So so it fits. It fits. But yeah. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Imagine waking up in a hospital. You don't know how you got there. You don't remember agreeing to anything. And the people standing over you, they're not doctors trying to heal you. They're trying to erase you. Oh. Dun, dun, dun. Everything you're about to hear actually happened. Not in a movie, not in a dystopian novel, but in hospitals, universities, prisons, and hotel rooms across the United States and Canada. Today, we are talking about MK Ultra, a very real, very documented U.S. government program that sounds like science fiction, but absolutely was not.
Okay.
In the early 1950s, the Cold War wasn't just being fought with weapons, it was being fought in the mind. The U.S. government became obsessed with the idea that enemies, particularly the Soviets and the Chinese, had unlocked some kind of psychological weapon. Reports from the Korean War described captured American soldiers making public confessions that didn't align with their beliefs. They had found something that could make prisoners confess, turn soldiers into traitors, and erase free will entirely.
Not the traitors.
Not the traitors. This fear consumed the Central Intelligence Agency. And in 1953, led by Alan Dulles, the current CIA director, they launched a classified program called MKUltra. Its purpose was simple, at least on paper, to investigate mind control and how it can aid in the defense of our country. So that's what it was made for.
Well, because it's like, when like they ask you like, what would your superpower be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and most people are like, I want to fly. Or
I want to fly.
But like, think about the like mind trip of having like some kind of like psychic power, like, and the amount of control you have to have, because if you don't have control, then it's like you just go crazy.
Yeah.
Trips me out, man.
Trips you out. But so its purpose was to aid the defense of our country, because they thought that China or Russia, they thought that they had some kind of way to make people fess up to anything, like truth serum. They thought that they had discovered something or some way. So they were like, okay, then we're going to biohack and we're going to understand the brain and how to make people, like, brainwash people.
Right.
Is basically, but to defend our country. But in practice, it became one of the most unethical human experimentation programs in modern history. MKUltra was led by Sidney Gottlieb. I'm not sure how to say that, but
that's
Gottlieb,
right.
The CIA's chief chemist. Gottlieb believed that the human mind was something that could be taken apart piece by piece and rebuilt. He didn't just want influence. He wanted to completely obliterate a person's identity. His theory was this: if you could completely break someone down, destroy their personality, memories, sense of self, then maybe you could rebuild them into anything you wanted, a blank slate. So how did he choose to test his theory? One of MKUltra's primary focuses was psychoactive drugs, especially LSD. At the time, LSD was new, powerful, and poorly understood, so the CIA decided to test it on people who did not consent.
Side note. So, have you ever watched the show Fringe?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. You have to.
Okay.
You have to. So, Walter is like the scientist or whatever, like back in the day, and he worked like at a university, and like it's hard to explain. Like, he did all these like experiments and stuff, and a lot of them had to do with like fringe science, which is basically what this is. And like he references like using LSD and stuff like that. So like this reminds me of that. Yeah. So if you've never watched Fringe, it's really good.
Okay, I'll try it out. I mean, what's it on? Amazon? Oh, you can tell me later, because I don't know if I guess that's not bad to put in there. I don't know what I'm thinking.
All I know is be prepared for Walter to make you cry, because I got emotionally attached to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so when he would cry, I would cry.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so they decided to test LSD on people who did not know. So they tested it on military personnel, prisoners, mental health patients, college students, and everyday civilians. Some were told that they were part of a study, but many were told nothing at all. People were slipped LSD in their drinks, food, and cigarettes, then quietly observed.
Dang, they were like the modern day like predator, like serial whatever.
Yeah.
There was no preference.
The subjects reported extreme paranoia, hallucination, panic lasting days, and long-term psychological damage. Some never returned to who they were before.
Aww.
Yeah. Now we're going to talk about Operation Midnight Climax. Which is exactly how it fucking sounds, man. Okay. This is one of the most disturbing chapters of MKUltra. So the CIA rented apartments and turned them into safe houses. Inside these safe houses, they had prostitutes hired by the CIA. They brought the men back to the rooms. The drinks were secretly drugged with LSD, and then the men were observed through one-way mirrors. Agents sat behind the glass taking notes. Yeah.
Could you imagine being those agents, though, and like... And then being judged on the notes that you take?
It's literally voyeurism. Like...
And then your boss reading your notes and being like, this isn't descriptive enough.
Right? Like, I'm sorry, did you want me to tell you how it went into the hole? Like, fuck. Jesus. Yeah, no. The notes that they had to take, though, were on the suggestibility that they had, like impaired, inhibitions.
Okay.
So, the sexual behavior, the emotional breakdowns, and any compliance. This was not intelligence gathering. This was voyeuristic psychological experimentation. And the men never knew that they were part of a government experiment.
I don't like that.
It ran in New York and San Francisco from 1954 to 1966. So for 12 years, they were doing this to unsuspecting civilian men.
That just made my eye twitch.
Yeah. Another major MK Ultra method was sensory deprivation.
Mm-hmm.
The theory is that if you stripped the brain of stimulation, it would become more suggestible.
Okay.
Subjects were placed in total darkness and isolated in soundproof rooms, forced to wear goggles and ear covers, and deprived of touch and movement. Some lasted hours, others were kept this way for days. Many began hallucinating, some were begging to be released, and others broke down entirely. So, I wanted to talk to you about this.
Okay.
So, have you ever been in one of those, like, the sensory deprivation pods?
No, absolutely not.
I went in one because I thought like I had heard so much of the research about how it's like it opens your mind and it calms you and it allows your brain to actually relax and da 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 da. Mm-hmm. So I'm like uptight, fucking thinking constantly, can't turn my brain off. So I was like, let's do it. This sounds great. So I get into this tub. So first off, they have you like shower off. I don't know why I'm so shaky. Maybe my coffee's finally kicking in. But so they have you shower off.
Okay.
And then you get into this it's basically like a big bathtub with a lid.
Right.
And you're in this room by yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So you get naked or whatever. You can have your swimsuit on or whatever. But they lock the door, and that is important because in my mind, it does not remain locked. So I get into this tub, and at first I'm like, this is, kind of comfortable because it's the exact same temperature as your body,
right?
And everything. And then my mind starts to wander, and I start hearing footsteps out in the hallway, which you're not supposed to be able to hear anything, but I could hear like the vibration of the steps.
No.
And so in my mind, they've unlocked the room and they're coming into the room and they're going to like somehow jam me in that pod and I'm going to be stuck in there forever. And so it ended up being the most unrelaxing thing of my life. Like I was literally, because it's black. It is completely black in there. And you have it just, all you hear is the vibration of footsteps. And my mind just fucking went off. Like,
do you see my face? Absolutely not. I don't know what you were thinking. No.
And what sucks though is I kind of want to try it again. But ask them, like, tell them specifically about my experience last time and be like, can you please put me in the room furthest away from everything, like where nobody will walk past and see. I don't know nope. Because I was so excited for it to work, man. Like I was so stoked to be doing it, and then
it didn't.
And then I just like hyperventilated the whole fucking time.
No.
And my husband picks me up after and he's like, so was it relaxing? I'm like, let me tell you a story. Like, fuck. Okay, anyways, wow. Back to this. So what were we talking about? Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay, so I'm sorry, we had to pause because we said fuck the video because it's not working.
Dun,
so,
dun, dun, dun.
Yes. Anyways, we were back. So back to MK Ultra. At the Allen Memorial Institute in Canada, MK Ultra funded experiments went even further. Patients seeking help for anxiety, depression, PTSD, and postpartum issues were unknowingly subjected to extreme experimentation. Doctors used massive electroshock therapy, far stronger than standard treatments, drug-induced comas lasting weeks, and continuous audio loops played thousands of times.
See, I don't like that because like people are going for actual help and then like this is happening.
Yeah.
Like that actually really makes me upset.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is real life. Like it actually happened. It's not like it used to be, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. No, they have actual evidence now. Like, this process that they were doing was called psychic driving. Patients were played messages like, you are nothing. Your family hates you. You must obey.
Ew.
Over and over and over. I know.
That's
It's
almost
very
like
sad.
That's almost like, have you watched Stranger Things?
Jesus, no, I haven't.
Oh my gosh. So like my honey and I are watching like season 3 because we're super behind.
Okay.
And like one of the monsters like says things like that, like basically like you're
a piece of shit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, in like layman's terms.
Yeah. Oh,
that's sad, right?
It is sad. Yeah, many patients were left unable to recognize their own families because of it.
Oh.
Because they would just deprogram them, be like, your family hates you, you are nothing.
That's kind of like our question, where you wake up and like no one, like, but like reverse.
And no one remembers you.
Yeah, but you don't remember anybody.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. Some of them had to relearn how to read, and others never even recovered at all. Sleep deprivation was another tool the CIA used in their experiments. Subjects were kept awake for days, sometimes over a week. And without sleep, the mind becomes fragile. Hallucinations begin. Judgment collapses. Reality blurs. So the CIA wanted to know, at what point does a human mind just give up? So one name comes up again and again in MKUltra discussions, and that's Frank Olson. Olson was a U.S. Army scientist working with biological weapons research. At a CIA retreat in 1953, he was secretly dosed with LSD. In the days that followed, he became paranoid, distraught, and fearful that something was wrong. 9 days later, Olson fell from a 13th floor window in a hotel in New York City. The CIA called it suicide. Decades later, his family learned the truth about the LSD. Later investigations suggested injuries consistent with a struggle, like a head injury from before the quote-unquote fall. So to this day, no one agrees on what really happened, but we can assume that he was killed, based off of his injuries. Yeah. By the time Congress began investigating MKUltra in the 1970s, most of the evidence was gone. Sidney Gottlieb had ordered nearly all MKUltra files destroyed. What survived only did so by accident, which means that what we know today is incomplete. There were no consent forms, no proper records, no accountability, just fragments. MKUltra was officially halted in 1973, but that raises an unsettling question. Did it truly end? Or did it simply evolve, change names, and disappear deeper into classified programs?
That's creepy.
Mm-hmm. And so next week, we're going to actually go into another government project that's allegedly a continuation of MKUltra.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that one next week.
Ooh.
And we can decide if we think it is a continuation or not, because it's kind of like
like along the lines?
Alleged.
Oh.
So, yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. But that's what I have on MKUltra.
Fun. Not.
Fun. That's the word I'd use for it too.
That's why I followed up with not. All right. So I did not do any research on the MKUltra. I just kind of took what I've heard about it.
Okay.
And ran with it.
Oh, okay.
So
Deal.
Here we go.
All right.
This story is by me with some help. So
With some help.
It is called Project Zeta.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Call back to Schitt's Creek, by the way. Ready?
What?
Call back to Schitt's Creek, because we can call back to Schitt's Creek all the time.
That is true, but what is it for this time? I missed it.
Ready?
Oh, it's gonna happen. Okay. Yes. I get you. I'm on the same page.
All right. Ted looked back and remembered the early days.
I'm sorry. That's what the callback was?
Yes.
Ted.
Ted.
Okay, continue then.
I had to start with some laughter first.
But you have to start over because now I didn't catch anything that you said in that sentence except for Ted.
Okay, are we ready now?
Mm-hmm,
okay,
I'm ready.
got it. Ted looked back and remembered the early days of the project, before he was the perfect predator, back when he was just a candidate. $300 just to take a sample of his blood, that was nothing. $500 to come in for a screening, that's easy money.
Right.
$3,000.
I'm sorry, I agree.
$3,000 a month for them to just run some tests, all expenses paid, was a dream. He should have known it was too good to be true.
Yes.
But what was a young man with a serious rap sheet and no place to go to do? The holding was what they called that place. And if that was the castle, then Dr. Celeste was its queen. She didn't use scalpels. She used frequencies, chemistry, and needles. So many needles. The first thing Ted remembered about the holding wasn't the pain. It was the lack of it.
Oh.
When he pulled off the black hood from his head, he wasn't in a cell. He was standing at the entrance of a long hallway known as the vacuum corridor, the throat of the holding, and the walls were lined with thousands of charcoal-colored foam pyramids designed to swallow every vibration. "Walk, Ted," a voice whispered. It was her voice, Dr. Celeste, coming from somewhere, but he was alone. As Ted took his first step, the horror set in. There was no clack of his shoe on the floor. The foam devoured the sound before it could even reach his own ears. By the 10th step, the sensory deprivation began to fray his thoughts. Without the noise of the world to anchor him, his mind turned inward with a violent intensity. He started to hear the internal machinery of his own body. The gristle of his knee joints rubbing together sounded like the earth shifting.
Ugh. I can't. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
The rush of blood through his carotid artery became a roaring waterfall. The blink of his eye sounded like wet leather slapping against stone.
Gross, Mena.
I had to describe it so that you felt it.
Yeah.
He clutched his ears, but his hands felt like lead weights. He tried to scream, but even though he felt his voice tear through his throat, the foam snatched the sound right from his lips. He was a ghost in this silent world. "This is the baseline," Dr. Celeste's voice vibrated through the floor, not heard, but felt through the soles of his feet. "The world is noisy. Your identity is just noise. We're going to find the silence beneath it, because to build a new man, we must first delete the old one."
Yep, that's MK Ultra right there.
After 3 days in the vacuum, Ted was receptive. His voice was starving for input, any input. That was when they moved him to the resonance chamber for what she called neural grafting. That started with the unmaking. It wasn't about pain. It was about the void. Dr. Celeste had him strapped into a chair that felt less like furniture and more like a cage. They didn't use needles, not yet. They used white noise. Constant, high-frequency white noise, a jagged electrical hiss that sounded like all the radio stations that existed were screaming at him all at once. It shifted frequencies every 4 seconds, and it was designed to prevent him from habituating the sound.
Oh, God.
It kept his nervous system in a state of permanent fight or flight, without any enemy to face or place to flee. "The static is a soundpaper for the soul, Ted," Dr. Celeste said.
Yeah, it is. Fuck.
Her voice wafting from somewhere unseen. For weeks, he lived that hiss, and the white noise began to feel like a physical object. It felt like sand filling his lungs, like glass pressing against his retinas. Ted's mind began to fracture. To survive the noise, his brain started searching for the leaks in the room's shielding. He heard the synaptic firing of the guard standing outside the door, a rhythmic, dull thumping of, "I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm tired." He grabbed onto these fragments of thoughts from the guards like a drowning man straining for the surface of water, desperate for one more breath. He didn't just read their minds, he pushed his way in to inhabit the blank spaces within their thoughts to escape the white noise of his own mind. Now that his mind was open, Dr. Celeste introduced him to what he called the gel bath.
Oh, Jesus.
They submerged him in a thick, translucent fluid that was teeming with synthetic retroviruses. Your skin is the veil, Ted, Dr. Celeste whispered, her gloved hand resting on the glass of the tank. But veils are meant to be pulled back to reveal the perfection that awaits. This horrific experiment is the one that broke his tether to reality. He watched, paralyzed, as his own flesh began to unknit.
No.
His skin didn't just change color, it became liquid.
No.
The retroviruses were rewriting his DNA in real time. He saw the veins turn from blue to shimmering, oily silver. The most repulsive part of the camouflage, he was a shimmering, translucent thing. His muscles were visible through his skin like bundles of raw, wet rope. His organs pulsed with a dull, bioluminescent glow. Then Dr. Celeste introduced the strobe light into the room. As the light...
Because that's needed.
Yes.
Jesus.
As the light flashed red, blue, green, Ted's body reacted instinctively. His muscles spasmed as the new cells tried to mimic the colors. He felt his ribs expanding and contracting, his bones becoming porous and flexible, like a cephalopod's. He was being hollowed out. He was no longer a man. He was a biological mirror, reflecting what Dr. Celeste wanted him to be. You're beautiful. You aren't a man anymore. You're now a shadow. The space between breaths. You are the ultimate answer to the questions the world you know is too afraid to ask, she remarked, her eyes shining with a terrifyingly motherly pride. Now let's see if our mirror can kill. The final phase was the testing phase. They moved Ted through the corridors of the holding in the present, his translucent skin rippling to match the sterile white tiles. He passed the discard wings. Through the reinforced observation ports, he saw what happened to those who didn't survive the unmaking. Oh. Subject 9, a man who clawed his own eyes out because he couldn't stop seeing the white noise even in the dark. Subject 14, a woman whose skin had turned permanently translucent, but her organs hadn't adapted. She was a walking, screaming, anatomical map, her heart visible and fluttering like a vibrating vessel of life trapped behind ribs of glass. He stopped in front of the final cell. Unlike the others, this door was lead-lined and vibrating a low subsonic hum. The label read, Subject 00, the harmonic. Ted pressed his hand against the glass. His skin instinctively tried to mimic the cold surface but failed. His flesh began to twitch. Inside the cell there was no person, only a blur. Subject 00 was the first success of the neural grafting, but the process had gone too far. Her brain had become so sensitive to the frequencies, her physical body had begun to resonate with them. She was a woman-shaped smudge of static, vibrating at such a high frequency that she appeared to fade in and out of view.
Sorry, all I'm picturing is from fucking, what is that movie called? The one with like joy and all the emotions.
Inside Out?
Inside Out. And from Inside Out to Anxiety. That's all I'm fucking picturing is just the vibrating.
You got me. I haven't watched that one.
That one, I cried. I laughed. I loved it. It was just, it was something special.
Okay, now I gotta see it just
you
for
have
that.
to. It's good. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Help me. The thought didn't drift. It slammed into Ted's skull. Subject 00 wasn't just reading minds. She was a psychic sponge.
Oh, she was projecting her own thoughts?
Yep. Because she had no shield, she was involuntarily absorbing all of the trauma of everyone in the holding. She was feeling the surgeon's guilt, the guard's cruelty, and the agonizing deaths of every failed prototype simultaneously. Yeah. As Ted watched, the harmonic pressed a vibrating hand against the glass. Where the skin touched the surface, her skin didn't just blend, it liquefied. Ted saw a dozen screaming faces form and dissolve in the woman's forearm, a literal manifestation of the stolen memories trapped inside her. The mirror doesn't just reflect the world, Ted, the harmonic's voice echoed. 1,000 voices speaking in a jagged unison. Eventually the glass shatters, and then there's nothing left but the shards. Ted recoiled, his camouflage flickering in a panicked, oily black. He realized then that the perfection Dr. Celeste was looking for, that she had promised, wasn't a peak, it was a cliff, and he was already falling. Ted felt a surge of vomit. He wasn't a success, he was just the only one who hadn't broken yet. He reached the heavy, reinforced bulkhead labeled Sector 4, Operational Validation. This was the testing area, Dr. Celeste's private playground. In Ted's memory, this place was a blurred kaleidoscope of violence. Now it's a ghost town of rusted machinery and dried blackened stains. The testing area was a massive circular chamber designed to mimic different environments. One half was a dense synthetic jungle of plastic vines and humidity. The other was an urban landscape of concrete ruins. He remembered the live exercises Dr. Celeste would release volunteers, death row inmates, and others of the sort into the chamber. They were given weapons. Ted was given nothing but his skin. He remembered the sensation of his camouflage shifting in real time. He stepped from the concrete to the jungle. His skin would scream in a symphony of micro tears, the cells rearranging from flat gray of the stone to the vibrant pulsing green of the leaves. It was like being flayed and reborn every 5 seconds. He didn't just kill them, he absorbed them. Because of the neural grafting, Ted would feel the exact moment their hearts stopped. He would feel their fear hormones spiking, a bitter electrical surge in his own blood. He was a psychic vampire forced to eat the terror of his prey to prove to Dr. Celeste that the weapon was sharp.
What the fuck?
At the center of the testing area stood a structure Ted feared more than the jungle, the maze of mirrors. It was a labyrinth of glass that Ted was forced to navigate through. The horror wasn't the mirrors, it was the proprioception, his sense of where his body was in space. Dr. Celeste would pump phase shift gas into the maze. It made his skin so reactive that he would begin to blend into his own reflection. He would lose track of where his arm ended and the mirrors began. He would claw at the glass thinking he was touching himself, only to realize he was bleeding from the reflection that didn't exist.
Jesus, this is tripping my mind out.
If you can't tell the difference between the hunter and the shadow, Ted, she whispered, then you have finally become the shadow. Now in the present, Ted stood in the center of the mirror maze. It was cracked and the glass webbed with age and neglect. He saw his reflection. It was terrifying. He looked like a man made of liquid smoke, his eyes glowing embers of orange light, the result of the retinal enhancements Dr. Celeste had carved into his skull. But then, his full potential mind sensed something. There was no heartbeats, no thoughts, just a heavy mechanical hum coming from the floor. You were always so focused on the biological, Ted, Dr. Celeste's voice echoed. It didn't come from the speakers, it came from the inside of his own head, but it sounded tinny, digital. You forgot the weapon needs a wielder. Ted bellowed, his hand striking the glass. The glass didn't break, it just rippled. The smell of the replica jungle and the concrete was being replaced by a sharp, stinging scent. Not bleach, formaldehyde. The last thing he said was, "I'm going to kill you." His voice sounded strange to his own ears, raspy, unused, like grinding stones. "Will you?" Dr. Celeste murmured as she stepped into view. She wasn't holding a weapon, she was holding a small silver remote. Or will you finally accept that you never actually left the chair, Ted? Ted tried to move, his body screaming to shift. He felt the rush of the kill, the ultimate satisfaction of the hunter, but his body didn't even twitch. The moment he took too long to blink, the testing area flickered. The smell of formaldehyde vanished, replaced by the sharp, suffocating stench of ammonia and stale urine. Ted felt like he was plummeting. Then his eyes opened, not peering at the ceiling, but down at his lap. He saw his own gnarled hands, neglected fingernails, yellowed and long. His shifting skin was just pale, purple, and stretched over bone, bruised from where he had been restrained. The white noise returned, but it wasn't coming from the speakers. It was coming from a small, oscillating fan on the plastic desk. He's having another breach episode, a voice said. It wasn't Dr. Celeste. It was a tired, overworked nurse in a stained blue scrub top. Ted peered past his lap. He wasn't standing. He was strapped into a rusted manual wheelchair. His legs were as thin as toothpicks wrapped in a thin hospital blanket. He looked up at Dr. Celeste. She was a middle-aged psychiatrist whose name tag read Dr. Miller. She wasn't holding a remote. She was holding a clipboard. Ted, can you hear me? Dr. Celeste asked, her voice flat and bored. You've been staring at the wall for 3 hours. The holding isn't real, Ted. You've been here since the accident at the chemical plant 20 years ago. There was no project. There was no experiments. Ted tried to project a thought, a psychic blast to melt her brain, but all that came out was a pathetic whimper. Let's get you back to your bed, the nurse said, grabbing the handles of the wheelchair. As they wheeled him down the hallway, Ted looked at his reflection in a window. For a split second, he saw the predator, the invisible, powerful god of stealth. Then the light shifted and he saw the truth. A broken man in a wheelchair, trapped in a mind that had invented a way just to keep from feeling the silence.
Oh my God.
The white noise of the fan followed him down the hall, screaming of his success.
Jesus.
Are you okay?
Oh my God. So he his brain, his trauma response was inventing this whole mind fucking thing. Wow. That was really
Are you okay?
that was amazing, but I'm like, yeah.
Were you ready for
I'm
that
shook.
roller coaster?
I was not ready. I was not ready for that jelly.
Yes. You look like you were fixing to cry.
Well, that got me at the end. Because his mind is such a dark place that's its reprieve is that.
Right.
You know? Jeez Louises.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Well, I did. Okay. So
I have a question. I have a question though. So
okay.
Looking back at your research and then knowing that I did no research, I just kind of took the little bits and bobs that I know of what happened. How did that make you feel?
I don't know because I'm still recovering from that story. I don't know, but it was really well done.
Thank you.
It was very well done.
Okay, next thing.
Next thing. Okay, so I have a story from a Reddit user. Their name is Turbulent Tale 8738. So it's Turbulent. Oops, I just clicked out of it. Okay, so it's Turbulent Tale 8738.
Hey, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Because they sent it. How did we find this one? They sent it to us?
Yeah, they reached out.
Oh, I don't know why I still have your phone. Okay, well, thank you so much. We
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Here it goes. It is called Codename Primal. Prologue. The sound of alarms echoed throughout the entire building, so loudly that Dr. Sebastian couldn't hear anything but the painful beeping and the sound of his own footsteps carrying him away from the nightmares lurking within. The red light from the alarms looked more menacing than ever, but the only thing Dr. Sebastian could think about was how desperately he needed to reach the safe room or anywhere he might be protected from it. His bloodied palm clutched his left shoulder, which bore a bite mark far too large to have come from any dog. It was painful, so excruciating, as if those very teeth were still piercing him even now. The agony overwhelmed his 46-year-old body, and he collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. Gritting his teeth, he winced, barely able to breathe through the torment. This wasn't supposed to happen, not ever. The perimeter was meant to be secure, and even if the subjects escaped, they were supposed to be prepared for situations like this. With a groan, he stood up, but his shoulder felt like it would fall from the rest of his body sooner or later. That's when the alarm stopped completely and the whole building fell into silence. Because the normal lights were messed up, a backup system turned the lights back on, but it didn't make the situation any less terrifying. The building had once been filled not only with alarms, but also gunshots, screams, and the sounds and roars from their own creations. And now it was only a pit of death, where a human like him would only end up as a meal. He weakly stood up, but even his knees were barely holding him together. The bite must have inflicted some kind of poison, slowly damaging his entire system, but he wasn't sure. He had only just arrived, merely as an assistant from his old workplace, where he had worked as a doctor in times of needs.
Dude, that sucks.
Times of need. His clumsy attempt to stand was at least successful, though he nearly lost his balance again. He glanced at his shoulder once more, then quickly looked away. It was a horrible sight.
Dude, okay, wait, pause. I still can't get over, like, this isn't even something, like, he's like, passionate about. Like, he's, like, there to work.
Yeah, he was there as an assistant.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. Still, he kept going, slowly making his way towards the safe room that was finally in view. The safe rooms, built with heavy steel doors capable of withstanding even a grenade explosion, were stocked with enough food, water, and communication systems he could only hope were still functional.
You know what? He has food, though.
Mm-hmm. His hope for, and hopefully a first aid kit. His hope for safety, so close and almost within reach, was suddenly shattered by a sound that echoed throughout the building, sending chills down his spine. A screech, animalistic, almost normal in any other context, but here absolutely terrifying. It was followed by another, identical in tone. Not evil, not malicious, just a natural sound. But it came from something unnatural, from a mouth that should never have existed.
Ugh.
Upon realizing the source of the sound, his heartbeat quickened even more. With every ounce of strength he had left, he began to walk weakly at first, then faster, towards the door. But strangely, the screeches, as intimidating as they were to him, began to fade. They didn't stop abruptly, they dissolved into the void, as if whatever was making them was retreating, growing more distant with each passing second. Sebastian nearly stumbled as he finally reached for the door handle. The cold steel against his palm jolted him awake, grounding him in the moment. The silence behind him was reassuring. No more screeches, no more echoes. But when he tried to open the door, it didn't budge. It was locked or jammed. Either way, his sanctuary was just inches away and still out of reach. His eyes widened, and he tried to move the handle again, this time more forcefully, almost desperately. It didn't budge an inch. He attempted to open it with both hands, but as he tried to lift his left arm, a wave of agony shot through his entire body. It wasn't just his shoulder anymore. He could barely move his entire left hand. He cried out in pain and clutched his shoulder, only for his body to respond with another surge of torment that forced him to lean against the wall, nearly collapsing.
I'm having, like, phantom pain in my arm.
Tears streamed down his face as he looked toward the door. With what little strength he had left, he crawled weakly toward it, using only one hand. He managed to knock twice, loudly, his voice trembling with fear and desperation as it called out. "Please," he said with a trembling voice. "Is anyone in there? Open the door, please." He banged on the door again, although this time weakly. "Open the fucking door." But the only answer he received was his own echo. At least, it was supposed to be, because just as all hope drained from him and he raised his hand to bang on the door once more, he heard it. "Open the door." His own words, but they sounded like they came from a broken radio or from a person who has trouble speaking properly. They didn't come from his lips anymore, not from behind the door. They came from behind him.
Absolutely not.
Dread began to creep over Sebastian, and the only thing he managed to do was turn his head slightly behind him, and there he saw it, a creature, a dinosaur, a young, but still not small, Dilophosaurus. Its body was carried by two strong, tall hind legs. Its skin was gray with small black lines, and its front limbs were long, ending in 3 sharp, slender claws. Its back was covered with something that looked like feathers. It was around 6 meters long and 2.5 meters tall, but its size wasn't the scariest part. What made this predator terrifying was that it seemed to be something more than a mere dinosaur. The way it looked at Sebastian, or rather the way it didn't, because it probably wasn't looking at him at all. It was simply aware of his presence. Where its eyes should have been, there was nothing but medium-sized black holes.
Ugh.
Its mouth was closed, yet its sharp teeth remained visible, jagged and menacing. It was monstrous. For a moment, Sebastian forgot the pain. The sheer sight of the creature in front of him consumed every thought. And then a clicking sound echoed from the Dilophosaurus's mouth. Its head tilted to the side, unnaturally slow, and its jaws parted just enough to reveal rows of razor-sharp teeth, teeth that looked like they could tear through flesh as easily as a knife through butter.
It made me think of... Could you imagine, like, hearing that?
Oh, yeah, like from the Jurassic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It looked like it could attack at any second, and yet it didn't. Sebastian had no idea what to do. The only thing he wanted was to get as far away as possible from this creature that was supposed to be a dinosaur. And then all the lights went out. Not just in the room, probably in the entire building. Everything, Sebastian, the hallway, the creature, was swallowed by complete pitch black darkness. And then the same screeches, louder and more sinister, began to echo throughout the entire building. They were so loud it felt as if they were right next to him. As if the pain in his body wasn't enough, his ears began to ache, and he could feel blood dripping down from them. He managed to cover one ear with his hand, but the screeches continued. At first they were overwhelming, then slowly they began to fade, down and down and down, as if whatever was making them was moving farther and farther away, followed up by silence yet again. Sebastian, breathing heavily, pulled his right hand away from his ear, but his breath was growing shallow. The ringing in his ears left him dazed and disoriented. What happened? Did it leave? Did it run away? He wondered, did it lose interest? Click! A guttural roar shattered the silence. Footsteps thundered toward him. The Dilophosaurus burst into view, its mouth wide open. Sebastian could do nothing but scream in terror and pain as its teeth sank deep into his face.
Ugh.
The sounds of flesh being torn, bones snapping like dry twigs, screams of agony echoing the walls. These were the only sounds for the reaming, terrified souls hiding behind the door, frozen, silent, praying they wouldn't be next.
There were people behind the door?
Mm-hmm. Chapter 1. Whew. 7 years after the leakage, year 2027.
Excuse me, that's next year.
I know. It is. You're correct. Oh, so the leakage was 2020. That makes sense.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Kyle's eyes snapped open instantly at the sound of the thunder, which had been rumbling for a while now. He wiped his eyes with one hand and rolled to the other side to check the analog clock on the table. The hand was still stuck at the number 11. It had been a long time since he was truly aware of the proper time. Still being on his sleeping back, with a blanket on him, he looked towards the window, which the outside world was covered by rain and pitch black, with strong drops of rain falling on the window. "Are those nightmares creeping up on you again, Kyle?" a woman's voice asked. "No, well, maybe," he sighed as he looked through the darkness at Kristen, sitting in the old chair, watching the rain through the window without even looking at him. "It happened so long ago." Her voice was gentle. Kyle sighed as he pulled the blanket away and sat up. "And still, I feel like I could have done more." "What happened, happened. But here we are, still together. Isn't that what matters?" Kyle closed his eyes and lowered his head slightly before lying back down, just as another thunder rang through the air. "It shouldn't have happened," he murmured. "I should have..." But Kristen's voice gently interrupted him. "Kyle, it's okay. Nobody blames you for it. Just go back to sleep, Kyle." Maybe she was right. Maybe no one was blaming him. Maybe no one except himself. Still, sleep sounded appealing despite everything. Tomorrow will be a long and probably dangerous day. He pulled the blanket back over himself and let out one last sigh before closing his eyes. "Good night, sweetheart," he whispered. "Good night, Kyle." The night went through, the storm over time calmed down, and for the rest of the night no more nightmares haunted Kyle's sleep. More likely it was dreamless. And still, despite the peace inside the apartment, The outside nightlife was still stalking through the streets of Calavas. Over the time that followed, Kyle managed to sleep without any problems, and luckily nothing tried to get inside. It was rare anyway. Most of the dinosaurs or other creatures couldn't fit through, and thanks to the fact that he lived on the 8th floor, he didn't have to worry about the bigger ones, though they rarely showed up around his area. Kyle was woken by a distant sound, something that resembled a mix between a large bird and something else entirely. He slowly opened his eyes, blinking away sleep, just as the sound echoed again. Instantly alert, he sat up and glanced around the old room, heart beginning to race before realizing the noise was coming from outside. He looked towards the window. Daylight had already returned, and the storm had passed. With a quiet groan, he cupped his face in his palms, then pulled the blanket aside and climbed out of his sleeping bag. His eyes drifted to the old chair in the corner. It was empty. Maybe she'd woken up earlier, or maybe she hadn't slept at all. He slowly headed to the window and looked outside to search for the source of the sound, and sure enough, he could see some of the flying ones in the distance, probably pteranodons. 2 of them were on their way toward the old crane just a few miles away. From some of the survivors, he'd heard it was probably their nesting place, though he had never gone there himself. They usually weren't aggressive and hadn't caused much trouble, but he didn't want to underestimate these flying lizards. He looked down to see if anything else was down there, and despite a slightly overgrown and broken road, there wasn't anything that screamed danger. I should get those supplies. Seems like it's safe for now, he muttered to himself before leaving his room and checking around to see if he could find Kristen. Kristen, he called out, but received no answer. Crit! I'm here, Kyle! Her voice echoed throughout the room. Kyle looked around but couldn't see her. I'm heading to the store a few minutes away from here. We're getting low on food, and there might be a few more cans intact. But what if something happens to you? Kristen said, revealing herself from the living room. She leaned against the doorframe, brushing her long blonde hair back behind her ear. I'll be careful. It's not like we have much of a choice. The roof garden can't feed us forever. You should stay, she said, her voice tinged with worry. She stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his cheek and looking up into his eyes. Her cold hand gave Kyle a strange mix of comfort and regret. He closed his eyes and gently placed his hand over hers. I promise, I'll be okay. The Night Stalkers are gone. It looks safe for now. I've got to take that opportunity. Though Kyle didn't show it, he was indeed worried. The night was gone, sure, but that didn't mean it was safe. More likely, the threats lurking outside had simply changed. Still, it was safer than going out in the dark. He was never going out after dark because he knew it would be suicide. Then she gently pulled his hand away and stepped back slightly. Then come back in one piece, she said softly, and if anything happens, I'll be waiting for you. Kyle touched his cheek for a moment. It was cold, like he'd held a piece of frost against his skin. I promise I'll return, my love, he whispered. He walked toward the wardrobe and pulled on a worn brown jacket. From the nearby table, he grabbed a pipe and a bow with a few arrows. He still had a handgun, a 9mm, but it had long since run out of ammo. That was years ago. He didn't know how to make more, and checking police stations wasn't an option either. They'd either been looted or turned into nests for one of the creatures. There was one, though, he surely knew hadn't been looted, but the problem was it had been captured by one of the creatures that was too dangerous. And with just a pipe and a bow, his chance of survival would be very low. With that, he looked toward the living room before heading to his door, which had 3 different locks. Bigger creatures wouldn't have a problem getting in, but the halls were too narrow for something powerful. Slowly and carefully, he unlocked each one. Then he opened the door and peeked his head out to check for danger. It was clear. The halls were slightly dark and worn, and a nearby window was broken, but it seemed he was alone. With that, he closed the door and locked it. As he walked past the other apartment rooms, each one had a red line sprayed across the door. That meant the room had already been looted and was safe, so he didn't have to worry about finding anything lurking inside. The elevator didn't work, so he always had to take the stairs. Finally, he reached the first floor and stood before the main doors, which were locked as well. Thankfully, he had keys to almost half the doors in the apartment complex. He took out the keyring and, for a moment, searched for the right one. When he found it, he slid it into the lock and unlocked the doors. All right. He took a deep breath and pulled out the box. Here we go.
Could you imagine, though, going down all those stairs? And that's, like, closed, like corridors, like, above and below. Like,
And with that, he finally opened the door, leading into a primal world that had been fully dominated, not by humans, but by creatures we once thought would stay extinct. So, that was the end of that portion, because this is going to be a two-parter.
What?
Because it has 2 more chapters in it. So, we will read the next 2 chapters next week.
Yes, and we just want to give a really, really big thank you. So,
yes, this is really, really good so far.
So, like, my thing is like at the very, very beginning, like, it's like this, like, visceral type of, like, survival.
Oh my God, right?
Yes.
That was intense.
Like, I was nervous.
I know. This whole time I'm
like, I don't know. And then, like, to feel like you're the only people somewhere.
Yeah, and then there was the people behind the door.
No, so okay, so first off, yes.
Yeah.
So that first part where, like, the whole attack thing and, like, the click, 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 and then to know that there were people on the other side of the door shattered my soul.
I know.
And then, like, flash forward to chapter 1 where it's Kyle and Kristen. Like, to know that you are probably some of the only sole survivors of this
crazy outbreak of extinct creatures.
Yeah. And like not evolved, like created, like beings. That's scary.
Well, I'm excited to read the rest of it.
Yes.
So next week.
Tune in next week for that, guys.
Yep.
All right.
So last story is you, bro.
Okay, dude.
Okay, dude.
All right, so we have a double whammy for this episode because the last story we read was a listener submission, right? So now we have another listener submission. What? So thank you. This is a story, true story from Angel R, and it's called The Fairy Killer.
The Fairy Killer. And it's a true story. Okay.
I'm ready. All right. So it says, "Hey, my name is Angel. You can use any names mentioned since I left most out. When I was about 21 years old, I lived in a rundown old apartment with a long gravel driveway. The nearest apartments were about a football field away on either side." That makes me kind of like uneasy.
So that's like, okay. So maybe it's like out in the country then, you know?
Maybe.
Because that seems like a pretty big distance.
Right.
Between, but if it's apartment buildings, maybe it's like on the outskirts of town.
Oh, could be.
You know?
Yeah.
Like on those bigger lots though. Okay. I'm with you.
It says, "I live there with my best friend and my dog, Luna."
My God. I'm sorry. Luna. I worked at a vet clinic.
Yes.
Do you know how many dogs I've met named Luna?
Because it's cute.
It is so cute. But oh my God. That is that and Bella.
Bella. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone and their fucking dog names their dog Bella.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I just snorted. Gross.
All right. My dog was nothing near being a guard dog. I found her barely alive a few years before. And she was the sweetest soul. Okay. All right. She was the sweetest soul ever. Couldn't and wouldn't hurt a fly.
Aww.
You know, she was cuddly. You know she was. All right.
I wonder does it say what kind of dog?
I don't think so.
Oh. I'm gonna picture a golden retriever.
Okay. All right. My friend had just left and I was sitting in the front seat of my truck with the door open, smoking a cigarette. I heard gravel crunching and thought it sounded too big to be a dog, so I stood up in my door frame and turned around to look down the driveway. There was a man walking up my driveway in a hurry. Nope. He looked furious. I called out to him, "Hi, can I help you?" Okay.
Can I help you?
Brave. Says, you better fucking gun kill, he mumbled.
Oh.
So I guess it'd be like, I can't even try to mumble that.
You better something
Kill.
He
mumbled loudly back at me as he continued to stomp towards me with his eyes staring at the ground in front of him. At this point, he was only about 50 or so feet away, and my dumb, deaf ass couldn't believe that he had said something about guns or killing, so I shouted louder, "What?"
Oh my god. Oh.
He stopped and finally looked up at me, and the hatred in his eyes was something I will never forget.
Oh my god.
I said, "You better go grab a gun because I'm gonna kill you," he shouted at me.
That's clear.
That's very direct.
That is direct. Oh my god.
My jaw dropped, and for a second I thought, he must be joking. Then I looked into his eyes again and saw that he was going to do as he said. I desperately looked around me for anything to hit him with. A bat, a tire iron, a stick, anything.
Oh my god.
But there was nothing usable. I didn't have the keys to the truck, so I just screamed, "Luna, run!"
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh at all your reactions, but your reactions are great.
See, this would have been the perfect one for a video recording.
I know, it really would have been.
Okay, so sorry. And then took off towards my house. I turned around to see my precious pup had tried to lunge at the man to scare him away, but he kicked at her and didn't take her bluff. That's so sad.
Oh
so
my God.
Now I feel like she's tiny.
Oh yeah, she's got to be tiny.
She ran off, and I realized that I was about to lead him into my house that only had one entrance/exit.
Okay, not a good idea.
At this point, he was only a little ways away, so I ran towards the apartment complex nearby instead. I scrambled up to a door and started pounding and screaming for help, but no one came in the 2 seconds I stayed there. He was getting closer.
Oh my God.
I decided to run to the nearest busy street. I turned and saw that he was only 20 feet away or so. No, 20 feet or so away. There we go. His face was magenta, and he looked like he was going to explode from rage.
Oh my God.
I took off again towards the road, him following close behind. Up ahead, I saw an elderly couple walking their big black lab dog coming in our direction. No, not an elderly couple. What are you doing to me right now? My emotions are everywhere.
Oh my God.
I ran directly into the woman's open arms while her dog hit my hand and thigh lightly, warning me that I was the intruder in her situation. The man pulled the dog away and started calling 911, reporting to the operator what he could understand from my hysterics. I could no longer see the terrifying man. What?
Oh my God.
The police found him walking down the street a couple of blocks away. The responding officer told me that he had thrown a knife into a bush, but the only charge that he got was menacing. When we went to court, he told the judge that the voices told him I was an evil fairy that he had to kill.
Oh my God.
I asked for him to get sent to a maximum security psychiatric facility rather than jail.
Oh.
But since he escaped from a secured psychiatric home in the first place, they sent him to jail, which means I don't know if he ever received the help he needed. But hey, I've never heard from him again. So there's that, right? Thanks for reading, Angel R.
Oh my God.
Her compassion, though.
That was a whirlwind.
I'm processing.
Now I get the fairy killer, though.
I know. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
I know. That's crazy.
But thanks so much for sending it, because that was, even though scary, great.
Yeah, great.
I mean, I feel like that's not the right
not
word.
Not a good word for it.
Because of the situation, but I'm happy and ecstatic that you shared it with us.
Yes. There we go. We're all with you now.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Angel. I really
Yes.
appreciate that.
So, and we really, really do appreciate like everybody's love that they're sending, the streams, submitting stuff to us.
The comments.
Yes, it is awesome.
Oh my God. Though, let's bring that up real quick. So, on TikTok, I posted the other day asking specifically for creepy doll stories, remember?
Right.
So, 5 people commented on that video, just the word sorry.
So I was so confused.
Right? I don't understand that. I don't understand what you're sorry for. I like re-looked over my wording, listened back to the voiceover. I was like, I don't understand what you're apologizing.
I really wish that somebody would like respond. Like I kind of want to like reach out to all of them and be like, hey, did you hear something like we don't hear?
Right?
Like, what if it's something spooky?
Something creepy happened? Yeah, I don't know, dude. But I commented on there and was like, why is everybody saying sorry?
I mean, you said it in a nicer way than
that.
Did.
I did. But I asked, why is everybody saying sorry? And to the person, another person said, I claim no negative energy from this video. Y'all, God is good, amen.
Y'all, we tell y'all we are not putting negative energy out there. This is just to have fun and share experiences and bring laughter to everybody. That's the real goal.
And some spooky spooks though.
Yeah.
I want to make people's skin crawl a little bit.
Yeah, but then make them laugh after.
Yeah, then we have to have that. A little bit of levity. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Or not funny, but not haha funny, but like, oh, funny.
Yeah, you know? now I really want to know though.
I want to know too. So if you know why people are apologizing or if they're asking us to say sorry, I don't know.
Send an email to
or just a direct message on any of the platforms.
True.
Yeah. We can read those too.
Because if you might be one of the ones that said sorry and don't want to like put it all out there, like send us an email.
Yeah, send us a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. Anyways, that's all we have for you today, folks.
Yeah, so if you've stuck around this long to hear our ramble at the end, thank you.
Yeah, we love you.
All the love. If you would be ever so kind to give us a like or share.
And like
spread the word. Yeah, like tell your friends about us because we want to be friends with them too.
Yeah, don't be stingy. It's like one of those TikTok videos where if my best friend says she has another friend, no, she doesn't.
That's not how that works. So yeah, if you have like any stories of your own, any creepypastas of your own, if you want to tell us like what said at the beginning, a funny story, we're down for that.
Yeah, we are very down. Because we want to do like where we each do something that we've researched like we did today. Well, I researched, she wrote. But we want to do that and then have like a couple stories from listeners every episode. We like that. It brings a little levity to the situation and yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we will talk to you next week.
Alrighty. That's it for today.
All right. Love you.
Love you. Bye. Bye.